1930s San Francisco as I take my seat out of view in the office of Spade and Archer, private detectives. I am struck by the scene of the drab and crudely furnished offices with the sunlight creating an eerie shadow across the room and a reverse image of the window sign of.
Can you go over and take
the window
that
sign of?
That
the
one.
window sign
Tip
of.
it down.
I just turned it off.
No, the other one.
Spade and Archer. You ready, sweetheart?
This one?
Yep. Yes. No, it's still no, it's worse. Tip it down.
Samuel Spade's jaw was long and bony, his chin a jutting V under the more flexible V of his mouth. His nostrils curved back to make another smaller V. His yellow-gray eyes were horizontal. The V motif was picked up again by thickish brows rising outward from twin creases above a hooked nose. And his pale brown hair grew down from high, flat temples in a point on his forehead. He looked rather like Charlie Fisher. No, he looked rather pleasantly like a blonde Satan. He said to Effie Perrine,
Yes? Yes, sweetheart?
"No, you're not Effie."
I said it to her! You can't read.
No, I said
Now
it.
you
I'm
read.
the narrator.
No,
He said.
I said.
No.
You're the...
Okay.
No, you're narrating what I'm doing.
Okay, all right.
Yes, sweetheart? Now you are the narrator. Come on.
She was a lanky, sunburned girl whose tan dress of thin woolen stuff clung to her with an effective dampness. Humidity's high in here. Her eyes were brown and playful in a shiny boyish face. She finished shutting the door behind her, leaned against it and said,
"There's a girl who wants to see you. Her name is Wanderly."
A customer?
"I guess so. You'll want to see her anyway. She's a knockout."
Shoo her in, darling.
said Spade.
Shoo her in.
Effie Perrine opened the door again, following it back into the outer office, standing with a hand on the knob while saying,
"Will you come in, Miss Wanderly?"
a voice said.
Thank you.
It was so softly that only the purest articulation made the words intelligible, and a young woman came through the door. She advanced slowly, with tentative steps, looking at Spade with cobalt blue eyes that were both shy and probing. She was tall and pliantly slender, without angularity anywhere. Her body was erect, high-breasted, her legs long, her hands and feet narrow. She wore 2 shades of blue that were both selected because of her eyes. The hair curling from under her blue hat was darkly red. Her full lips were more brightly red. White teeth glistened in the crescent her timid smile made. Spade rose, bowing and indicating with a thick-fingered hand the oaken armchair beside his desk. He was quite 6 feet tall. The steep, rounded slope of his shoulders made his body seem almost comical, no broader than it was thick, and he kept his freshly pressed gray coat from fitting very well. Miss Wonderly murmured,
Thank you.
softly as before, as she sat down on the edge of the chair's wooden seat. Spade sank into his swivel chair and made a quarter turn to face her, smiled politely. He smiled without separating his lips. All the V's in his face grew longer.
You just eat?
The tippity-tap-tap and the thin bell and the muffled whirl of Effie Perrine's typewriter came through the closed door. Somewhere in the neighboring office, a power-driven machine vibrated dully. On Spade's desk, a limp cigarette smoldered in a brass tray filled with the remains of limp cigarettes. Ragged gray flecks of cigarette ash dotted the yellow top of the desk and the green blotter and the papers that were there. A buff-curtained window, 8 or 10 inches open, let in from the front a current of air faintly scented with ammonia. The eyes on the desk twitched and crawled in the current. Miss Wonderly watched the gray flecks twitch and crawl. Her eyes were uneasy. She sat on the edge of the chair. Her feet were flat on the floor as if she were about to rise. Her hands, in dark gloves, clasped a flat, dark handbag in her lap. Spade rocked back in his chair and asked,
Now what can I do for you, Miss Wonderly?
She caught her breath and looked at him. She swallowed and said hurriedly,
Could you? That is...
Then she tortured her lower lip with glistening teeth and said nothing. Only her dark eyes spoke now, pleading. Spade smiled and nodded as if he understood her, but pleasantly, as if nothing serious was involved. He said,
Suppose you tell me about it from the beginning, and then we'll know what needs doing. Better begin as far back as you can.
That was in New York.
Yes?
I don't know where she met him. I don't know where in New York. She's 5 years younger than I, only 17, and we didn't have the same friends. I don't suppose we've ever been as close as sisters should be. Mama and Papa are in Europe. It would kill them. I've got to get her back before they come home.
Yes. He said.
They're coming
said?
home. They're coming home first of the month.
Spade's eyes brightened.
Then we've 2 weeks.
He said,
I didn't know what she had done until her letter came. I was frantic.
her lips trembled. Her hands smashed the dark handbag in her lap.
I was too afraid she'd done something like this to go to the police. And the fear that something had happened to her kept urging me to go. There wasn't anyone I could go to for advice. I didn't know what to do. What could I do?
Nothing, of course, Spade said.
But then her letter came.
Yes, and I sent her a telegram asking her to come home. I sent it to General Delivery here. That was the only address she gave me. I waited a whole week, but no answer came. Not another word from her. And Mama and Papa's return was drawing nearer and nearer. So I came to San Francisco to get her. I wrote her I was coming. I shouldn't have done that, should I?
Maybe not. It's not always easy to know what to do. You haven't found her?
No, I haven't. I wrote her that I would go to the St. Mark, and I begged her to come and let me talk to her, even if she didn't intend to go home with me. But she didn't come. I waited 3 days, and she didn't come. Didn't even send a message of any sort.
Spade nodded his blonde Satan's head, frowned sympathetically, and tightened his lips together.
It was horrible.
Miss Wonderly said, trying to smile.
I couldn't sit there like that, waiting, not knowing what had happened to her, what might be happening to her.
She stopped trying to smile. She shuddered.
The only address I had was General Delivery. I wrote her another letter, and yesterday afternoon I went to the post office. I stayed there until after dark, but I didn't see her. I went there again this morning. I still didn't see Corinne, but I saw Floyd Thursby.
Spade nodded again. His frown went away. In its place came a look of sharp attentiveness.
He wouldn't tell me where Corinne was.
She went on, hopelessly.
He wouldn't tell me anything except that she was well and happy. How can I believe that? That is what he would tell me anyhow, isn't it?
Words.
Sure, Spade said.
But it might be
Spade
true.
agreed. Spade agreed.
But it might be true.
I hope it is. I do hope it is.
She exclaimed.
But I can't go back home like this without having seen her, without even having talked to her on the phone. He wouldn't take me to her. He said that she didn't want to see me. I can't believe that. He promised to tell her he had seen me and to bring her to see me.